All right, welcome back to the podcast. We have Doug Mullett here. And Doug, your LinkedIn says connecting people to energy and LED solutions that fit. And then you have saving time, cutting costs, and ensuring reliable results. Tell me about that.
So I think energy and LED is something that everybody deals with it every day, right? And especially working with manufacturers, it's not a process, it's not your craft, it's a bill that you get, and it's a bill that you have to pay. If you don't pay your bill, your electric bill, you don't have power, you can't run your machines, you can't make your product. People don't always take the time to really understand it, and I think that that's with my experience and times that I've done it, I've been able to, even these suppliers or the LED companies can be very confusing. I think I've found a way to push on them to really understand it so that then I can relate it to the customer and explain it, make it very easy and tolerable, and just try to make the whole process more simple for them.
Yeah, so we're working together right now with a very specific LED project because we got, like many people in the country, hey, your bill's going way up. So we want to find solutions for that. And your branding online works really well because I thought of you about the LED guy instantly.
Great. That's
So
great.
we didn't really know each other. I reached out to you and said, hey, this is what I got going on. We have a current price. Would you like to take a look at it? You did. We're working together. So your approach to marketing yourself, I think, is really good because you're the first person I thought of. So your little light bulbs around your name and your social
Great.
presence is good. One of
And
my
we
favorite
talked
things.
before that though too, before you
Yeah.
reached out to me. We had that call, that like your story, my story thing,
Yeah,
which was awesome.
totally. But even before that, instantly when you come into my mind, I think of light bulbs and LED and all this stuff you hold up on LinkedIn. So I'm just telling you, like, that stuff does work. And I'm thinking you as a lighting person instantly.
Great. That's always good to hear too, because like my DC, my ideal customer, which are manufacturers, but it could be like plant managers, facilities guys, they don't interact a whole lot. They're pretty quiet. Even the CEOs at manufacturing plants, you don't see them, but when I get a list of percentages of job titles, I see like 11, 12% are plant managers or facility guys or whatever. So I know they're paying attention, but they're not always interacting. So it's always good to hear that, it's getting through.
Yeah. No, it is for sure. Yeah, getting that feedback I do think is important because you put stuff out all the time. You don't know what's landing. So getting
Yeah.
feedback is important.
It's so tough. And nowadays you don't even know I mean, who can completely, I can't, it's hard to keep track of the algorithm, and you hear these things there, this, that, and not everything you can do can be like just grow and just go viral. You're not going to necessarily get 10,000 impressions, but you need enough people to like it or show interest so that it gets to your people that you want to reach.
Yeah, agree.
That's the tough part, and you don't know, like, is it really hitting those people?
Yeah, the consistency is what gets people, right? That's what wins. You got to
Hmm.
keep putting it out, consistent message. So you are doing that well. What I like to do at the beginning of this is, can you give me a 2-minute career elevator pitch? Like, what is your career in a 2-minute elevator pitch?
So, career. So I graduated from Bowling Green State University, Bowling Green, Ohio. That was back in 1996. Wanted to get into advertising. Wanted to get a job in radio in Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah.
selling advertising. But I could, back in the day, like, use the typewriter or like my dad's processing thing to like stuff envelopes and send them out. And nobody would hire me. Because they needed, I talked to some people, but they said, hey, you need experience. So I found a newspaper to work at up in Norwalk, Ohio, and they would hire me, but I had to move to the middle of nowhere where I knew nobody. Got my feet wet, got maybe a year under my belt, and then reached out to all those guys again. And one day I got home and turned on my answer machine, and I had a message from two different general managers at radio stations that wanted to interview me. I got a job, moved to Columbus. That's where I wanted to be. Did different advertising, but actually ended up going back to newspaper for a little bit, and then got into the telecom business, which was a bad space at the time. I got there late. Everybody had already switched everybody over in telecom. Everybody made their money. And I was just kind of lost in that for like 5 years. Got into buying, marketing at a group of country clubs and did that for a little while, which was nice because I really wanted to get on the buyer side and the creative side and doing the marketing. And I was spending $30,000 a month on marketing and advertising. That gave me the experience to like test different things, direct mail, emails, and just basically use somebody else's funds to like try all these different things. And it was interesting. And then I got into the energy business. I got into, this was like during the crash when they had the real estate went down there for a little while. And I got in with doing private electric distribution systems. So I worked with this private utility they went into like multifamily communities. They trenched the lines and put in transformers, and they bought electricity at a master meter and then distributed it and sub-metered it and bought wholesale, sold it back to the customers at the going rate, but was able to make kind of an arbitrage there. And it was really smart what they did, because they ended up setting themselves up for when then there was deregulation in Ohio. They could then buy generation at a lower rate. The company's still around doing their thing and worked out really well for them. And then I got into brokering energy. So I was brokering for 5 years with a company, and then realized that wasn't exactly treated the way that I would like to be treated, and realized that, I was making a lot of money at the time, but realized that I didn't need them to do what I do. But my only issue was I had a 2-year non-compete. So to leave and start my own thing, I needed to sit on the bench for 2 years. So that was, a tough pill to swallow, walk away from, years of residual income that was planned out and go to zero. But I saved my money, put it away, found an opportunity to get into the LED business that was not in my non-compete. It was okay, but it was still in energy. I felt, got into that, spent 2 years. My non-compete comes up. The lighting was just supposed to be temporary. It was supposed to be a paycheck, a way to get money. I was a 1099 though. I was on my own. And I get my license with the state. I'm ready to go. And the guy that I was going through for the LED ended up made some bad decisions, started flaking out. I had a pipeline of business, people that wanted to buy LED, but he couldn't fulfill the orders because he made some mistakes. So this is not working out the way that I want it to work out. I want to do the energy thing. I don't want to do this LED thing, but it takes you a little while to get the energy book of business and get contracts, get residual payments. And I knew there was going to be this ramp up period. And I had this pipeline I needed this money, but there was nobody there to fulfill the orders. I actually was introduced to someone that a manufacturer of LED. And at first I was trying to sell under his wing. He says, why don't you do this yourself? You can buy from me, and just like, any other LED company does. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to carry cash and do all this. And you know what? This is the right, I have to do this. There's no choice. I have to do this. So just as I'm starting my energy company that I wanted to do and had planned for, 3 years, I had to start an LED company at the same time. And it was great because, for one, when I was calling on the companies for the LED during that non-compete, wasn't stupid about it. I went after and talked to manufacturing plants, buildings were 50,000 square foot or more, the size of a football field or larger, manufacturers that I knew. One, they had a nice sized facility and they needed a lot of light bulbs, right? But if they were manufacturing and that size of facility, they were probably using a lot of power, probably using a lot of electricity and natural gas. So not only did I have that pipeline of LED to close, but I had all these customers set up to go into the energy. And there's still, to this day, I have energy customers that didn't end up even buying LED lighting from me, and vice versa. So it was a good fit. Actually, my first year of business, that would have been 2019, I killed it. I did great, more so than most people do their first year of business. It just went very, very well. COVID 20, I was riding bikes, eating casseroles, and drinking wine, right? And thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. And then after that, great year. Moved the family. A year later after that, the business is good. Looking to take this even more to the next level. But I've worked with a lot of great people, a lot of great customers over the years, and really I like what I'm doing.
Yeah, a couple things for me with working with you directly for the LED solution is one of the greatest things you said in one of our meetings was, I'm into something that is like, it's a means to an end, right? So you're providing a solution that solves our problem, then you're not needed anymore. I forget how you said it, but it's so true. But you still, you're very thorough. You put the best foot forward. You're not salesy. You're not pushy, and the whole process is very easy. Even though, like you said, you provide the solution and you do a lot of the legwork behind the scenes. You give us all the numbers, and then okay, see you, Doug. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the tough part. You create, you have this good working relationship because I've really enjoyed, working with you and working with your team. All your team is, they get back to me right away. I mean, they're
Very
all
busy.
like involved and they're excited, excited about it. I mean, it's great. But you get to work with people, and then you do such a good job because I think a lot of the first rounds of LED, because I have people going LED, to LED now, and I've gotten really good at work with somebody to do the design, the evaluations, get the money, but make sure that they get in something in there that's going to last them a long time. It's all good quality product. Now that we have these toggle switchable LEDs from like low, medium to high, we can get in there with a design and get you on low and have that ability that many years down the road, because LEDs will diminish and they will lose their luster after time, you can flick that thing up, a couple notches. And I know that I'm doing such a good job that you'll be retired, but you may be retired by the time you need lighting, and you may forget about Doug Mullett. So that's a tough one. The value of the client over a long period of time just isn't going to be there. But there are more things. There are more things that, that's why I keep my foot in the sand of the energy, because that is going to continue to evolve, and people are going to need things. So
What drew you to
keep
energy?
doing it. What drew me to energy? Well, I kind of just stumbled across it, actually, and literally like stumbled across it.
Did you trip over a cord?
Yeah, so I was selling for a minute. I was selling telecom, kind of like step back into telecom, and which was just dumb. But I was actually cold calling, like door to door, right? Businesses, and just driving down the road. And I'm like, there's an office phone service, I'm sure. So I park my car and I walk into the first door, and it's like this flower shop. And then there's this middle door, and there's cars in the parking lot, and like there's people here. So I walk up the steps and I open the door on the left, and it's like all these salespeople on headsets and cubicles and everything. And I'm like, well, decision maker's not in this room, right? So I open the other door on the right. It's all part of the same office, and it's quieter. There's three offices, and there's a back corner office, and the door is open. And I'm like, well, that's where the head cheese is, right? That's the guy that I need to talk to. So I walked over and rapped on his door and told him who I was, and pitched him on buying phone service. And he convinced me that he didn't need it. And then he convinced me that I should come work for him. I've really just stumbled across it, and I started asking questions. He started showing me what they do, and the sales, what was a little intimidating. The sales reps were 100% commission, but he showed me a sheet of how much sales were and how much money they made. And I knew that I've always been in the top 10% at any sales team I've worked with. And I'm like, well, I can make a living doing this. This is going to be actually double than what I'm paying now. So when do I start?
So you had such a good rap that you got a job out of it.
You mean the rap on the door, my sales pitch?
Must
I don't know.
something.
Yeah, something. I mean, mid timing, maybe. I don't know. I was wearing a tie.
Are you afraid to sell anything? Do you think you could sell anything?
I think I want to.
No, I know. That's not my question. Like,
Yeah, yeah, I
you have a
definitely
little
could.
fear.
As long as it was real, it wasn't that I believed in it, that it was true. Yeah,
That's amazing. I don't have
like
that.
you, no,
No.
do you have besides, what was your previous experience before? I mean, you weren't always a CEO.
No, it was a like project management for power plant construction. I have no sales experience. I don't know actually how to sell to people. I use social media to try to cover that gap.
Well, that's the best way to do it. It really is. I was just talking to my dad about it today. I'm like, we were talking about you actually, and how I met you, and how like pleasant of an experience from a sales standpoint this has been, because you know me, I know you, and we went into it like, you could even look at the stuff that I've quoted you, like you could see out of the market that it's a fair price. Like once we get past that, it's going to work, and you've seen some of the things I'm going to do. So you're like, Doug's going to make this happen. We don't have to, and I have to sell it, which is great.
I didn't worry.
And yeah, so the projects that I've gotten into since I've been active in social media have been much more pleasant experience, because I don't feel like I'm selling it.
That's because I didn't view you as a salesperson. You're not that to me. You're an energy person that's trying to help me. That's the difference.
But it's really hard to do that. This prior life when I was brokering energy, making 80 phone calls a day,
Yes.
right?
That's because you're a salesperson then.
This is so much better. This is so much better. That's what I had questions like the customers that you guys have. I heard on another podcast that you call yourself a construction company, but I was, somehow I was attached to you as being a manufacturer, but you guys construct equipment for like food manufacturers, right? And different people, I'm sure, but
Yeah.
that's one of
Anything
your customers.
anything you can't buy in a catalog that's made of metal, we pretty much build. Except for buildings. We don't put buildings up or bridges. But anything you can put in the building that's not repeatable per se, right? We build out of metal. So it's all the food, pharma, beverage solutions, piping, machine bases, skids, mezzanine staircases, you name it.
Yeah, I have seen pictures. Is there anything that specific that you guys are really good at, that better than anybody
Stainless.
else? Stainless.
Stainless is really hard to work with, and I'm saying this as somebody who doesn't know how to work with it because it moves as soon as you add heat to it. So welding it, doing all the stuff we do to it, it takes higher skill.
And some of the pieces you guys make are really big, like big vats, and I've seen your guys like inside of them working on them.
And
These
that was all flat sheets of metal when they started.
Your company's been around for a while, so it had a book of business, right? I mean, customers.
Yeah, 84 is when Al started it, my father-in-law.
And you've been there for how long?
20.
And how much new business have you guys brought on since you've been?
Double.
Your building always been the same size? Have you increased your building?
So the first building Al bought in 86, we kept that. When I started, it was empty. 2010, Al built the newer building because they just outgrew the first one. There was 80 people there. They got up to 145 before kind of he retired. And then we're about 167 right now. So the old building that was empty when I started is now probably 30 people. And then we've added quite a few at the new shop. So yeah, there's been significant growth. A lot of that's just little process improvements. There's not a lot of people change. All the people are very similar.
Do you
It's
have
an
sales
amazing team.
reps? Do you have salespeople?
Yeah,
You do.
3.
You do. Okay. Are they very active on LinkedIn?
No,
Are
I
you?
asked, but they're not comfortable with it.
Sure, not everybody is.
Sure. I'm not going to pressure people to it because then it's not authentic.
Mm-hmm. Have you had people reach out to you through LinkedIn, through things that you do? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, 2024 I made the conscious effort to give it a real go, and I've seen significant, what's the word I want to look for? Just recognition for the company and myself. So whether that be, two-pronged spear.
And Are you connected to a lot of your customers?
Directly have I reached? No. But I see some of the people that I connect with or reach out or follow, and they're customers of ours. But they'll be PMs, engineers, whatever that looks like.
Have there been any surprise leads that have reached out to you where you could just get a DM and or even notice this person?
No, not yet. I think our website and our online presence from that standpoint keeps getting stronger and stronger. And I think, we had a big customer last year. It's the first time we ever worked with them. And that's been a really great relationship that we would have never had unless they found our website.
What your main contact at your customers? What what's their typical title?
Plant
Are they very
engineer, project manager, GC, process engineer, any of those, maintenance manager, that kind of stuff.
are they typically repeat business, or do they typically just need one thing and you build it and like you're done?
Depends. Our wastewater division, I'd say, is the least relationship driven because it's very GC, municipality. This is what we want to build. We're collecting all the bids and whoever's the lowest bidder, kind of. Our other two, which would be the install and the fab, are way more relationship and repeat.
You do bid work. I mean, I don't know what it's called. If it's called bid work, but people put bids out
Everything,
there.
98% of what we do is probably fixed price bid work.
In my business, I've tried to steer.
Sure. It's scary. There's a lot of risk.
Yeah. Well, people would really have to know what to write the RFP and know what they
Scope's got to
want.
be crystal clear.
Yeah.
And it's
Most people don't know enough about the lighting to put together a decent RFP.
agreed. They're just saying, Doug, I need a solution. This is my problem. This is how many lights I think I have.
Right.
Probably right.
Right. Do you watch any of the other people? Do people follow some of the people that are in the manufacturing on LinkedIn, like people's posts that are in CNC machining? And
Yeah, I know
you
there's a
watch?
really big YouTube channel out there around CNC machining. I forget what they're called, but they're pretty huge.
Yeah, that's that Tony Gunn.
Maybe
He does. He goes around and interviews different
I think so.
manufacturers. Yeah, I've been watching him a lot recently, and he's traveling all over the place.
Mhm.
Somebody the other day that had interviewed him on their show. People really love to talk about what they do and what they build. See, I would imagine a lot of people are interested in watching that show. It seems very popular from what I've heard. Once he went on YouTube, he just like,
Explode.
went up by like 12,000 followers, which is incredible.
There's not a lot of content out there about it either. It's a
There's
niche
not a lot of
market.
content. Yeah.
A lot of the problem with doing some of that is you have to comb to make sure you don't have any safety stuff going on, right? Because people will call that out all the time. And that's why a lot of people are scared to put out content of building, or, you really got to cut it up and make sure things are good. Not that people are doing things, that aren't safe, but everybody will have an opinion about something.
Yeah, I can see that. I've just seen a few shows, but it doesn't look like they walk around a whole lot. Maybe somebody stands in front of a machine and they talk.
Gotcha.
But yeah, people are interested in that. There's not a whole lot of shows on energy either, not a whole lot of content on energy. But I can imagine 12 increasing by 12,000 followers on YouTube. Different manufacturers have got to be interested in hearing what other manufacturers are doing. I mean, that's got to be a very interesting show if you are in the manufacturing business. I guess my question to you would be, you would like learning about it, how other people that do what you do, right? I mean, your competitors or different people that.
I don't know. I never lived in that headspace, which I don't think is good or bad, of peeking behind the curtain to learn what other people do, because I know what we do really well and I think we push the envelope. But I do think there is knowledge to be gained by learning from other people. I think part of that's the reason I do this. I know it's more one-on-one, but it's a form of reading for me because I don't like reading. So I learn something from every guest.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, I've listened to a few of your podcasts, and I think you and I are kind of the same way. And I heard you mention something like being at a party or a networking event, and you're the guy on the edge, messing with your phone, right? And I've always been that way too. And I've found that I'm better, one-on-one, one-on-two, just having those closer talks. And I've learned so much from talking to guys like you and plant managers and different people by being one-on-one. But I could see how this would be very interesting and a very good way to learn. And this is something that I've been at this idea that I would like to do more in my space too, and learn more from different people about the energy space. So I find it very intriguing what you're doing, but you're interviewing people in all sorts of realms of things. What is it? What do you look for in somebody that you're interviewing? What is? I mean, is it just something that they're doing that you want to learn about, or you want to hear about that person, or what are you looking for? What interests do you have?
Their passion. As long as they're passionate about it, I don't care what it is.
What's
I
been
think when people talk about things they're really interested, they light up, and it's gonna always be a good conversation. I don't care what it's about. It could be Disney World to metal manufacturing in Africa to LED lighting. It doesn't really matter. And then if you niche down, I feel like there's an end. You're gonna run out of guests. I'll never run out of guests.
sense?
And you can, if you truly think you can learn something from anyone, then every subject has a value. Like I
Yeah.
knew nothing about micro sprint car racing until I talked to a fellow teammate, and it blew me away that he works on his own engines. He has a team. He's a team leader. Like that all was fascinating to me.
But I've seen you post online. You're reading more, right? You started a book club.
I
What do you
have to be
guys?
in a book club or I won't read. They're holding me accountable to reading.
Yeah, I've gotten really into reading the last year and a half. I'm not reading right now on purpose. My wife just read a book that she wants me to read, so I'm gonna have to get on that one. But the one that I read that's really helped me is Jim Quick's Limitless. Have you heard of that one?
Mm-mm.
And he talks about the brain and how capable we are of so much. But then I bought his classes and took his reading class, and it's really helped me increase my speed of reading, and it's just made it more enjoyable. That was something I got into reading, 40 minutes every day, every morning, and it's been a great experience. There's so many more that I would like to read. But how do you find time to do that? Do you set out a certain time of your day? Or
Our book club meets 30 minutes Mondays and Fridays. And I will either read that morning before book club or the day before, the 10, 12 pages that we have due for that book club.
how many people do you have in that?
37?
Wow, at your company?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
I said I'm not a salesman, but I did a lot of selling to get these people in the book club.
Holy cow. Man, that's got to be the biggest book club,
No,
employee book club in any.
Oprah's got the biggest book club.
Yeah, but in the manufacturing sector, I bet there's not a single book club, employee book club that big.
I don't know. I was shooting for 75, but that's okay. As long as I get more than 37 in the next one, which I know I will. I already have two people who won in. Uh, honestly, it's the stigma that comes with it, And then the people who are in it, it's like you should be in it. So
So neat. What are you guys reading right now?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Yeah, I thought I was a little worried, and a lot of people told me I was crazy for having the company read that, but everybody's slaying it, so I love it. So let me ask you a question. I would consider you a solopreneur. It's just you, correct?
It is right now. I have somebody coming on to
Okay,
help me with operations later this month, actually. And I've had assistants in the past.
sure.
Yeah.
How do you get perspective? Like, do you have a peer group, or how do you keep yourself centered when shit goes awry?
I have different entrepreneurs I actually talk to,
Awesome.
network of friends that are entrepreneurs. My wife, I bring home work with me. We talk, and she's cool with it. She listens. I mean, just sometimes just talking with somebody about a problem that you have, they may not give you the answer, but you solve it yourself just by talking to somebody about it.
Yeah, I always wonder for people who do a lot on their own, because I know I get my own head, and that's where my business group comes in and it's like perspective, right? And it gives me that once a month reset almost. And I always wonder how other people do that.
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of would say contractors, creative people that I hire for different things, and then I have people that I buy things from, talking to customers about what their opinions are and different things. But it is lonely being an entrepreneur. I think what you have is great. I mean, your people are great, and it's got to be very fulfilling to be able to collaborate with them.
Totally.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do what you're doing. Like I teamwork and collaboration is so important, I think, on my day to day. I need that check and balance.
that's why I'm really excited with the person that's coming.
Yeah.
They have lots of experience in operations. Yeah.
So back to LED solutions, I want to ask, what's one thing people don't realize that about what you do for them, or even LED solutions or energy solutions? What's something that usually you tell them that surprises them?
One of the ones that I get a lot is just not everybody, but people don't even know that there's different measurements of light.
Totally.
There's something that it can actually meter and look at, and there's a matrix, there's a light meter that you can foot candles and discover how much light you have, and then put it in a design and figure out what you need to bring the light levels up and what they should be from an industry. People, most of the time, they go out and their lights are on and they're working, and when they start to feel like they're dark, then they think that they need to replace them. There's definitely more to it than that.
Totally. I think when you sent the light meter, I was like, I knew they existed, but I never used one. And then I'm
Yeah.
running around taking pictures of this thing all over
It's
the
a fun
place.
toy too, right? I mean,
It was awesome.
and that's a part that I learned when I was doing it through the distributor, and he didn't do a good job of that. It was just replace a 400-watt metal halide with a 150-watt LED. And it's not that simple. I mean, it can work and it's going to be brighter, and the customer is going to be like, well, yeah, this is bright. LED is great. But it doesn't mean that it was the right choice. It may have been too much light. You might not have gotten the energy savings that you needed. You may not have gotten the rebates. You could have gotten more rebates. You might have overlit it. Or it may be that that grid was set up for that technology, the HID technology or the T5 or the T8, but you put LEDs in there and the spacing needed to be different. But it's not taking into account. So, I mean, a lot of times in a manufacturing plant, they might have 200, let's say, metal halides, and I can come in there with LED, and because of the beam angle and how it's different, I can replace those 200 fixtures with 100 LED fixtures. And maybe instead of 150 watts, I got to go to 200 watts, but I'm able to spread it out. And it's just a big balancing act then, because then you're going to maximize your rebates. You're not going to overspend on material, right? I mean, because it doesn't cost that much more to throw on a few more LED chips and maybe another driver, beef up the driver, than it is for all that more metal for that 2 times the amount of fixtures, and they got to package it and ship it.
Yeah, your appreciation for our problem comes through in spades. Like you were really concerned about hours per day, which lights are on, how long, because that all plays in the rebate. And I think that's really impressive to me too, is you care that we're getting the best product with the lowest costs, the lowest operating costs, and then the largest rebate all in one is really helpful.
That's what I want to do.
Because I didn't understand the process, and now I know how it works because you
Yeah,
taught
you
me.
do. And you have a great opportunity with yours. Yours is incredible. Now's the time to, I mean, take advantage of that. I mean, not everybody has those
Yeah.
rebates right now.
Well, it's about to get terrible. Like we saw the increased cost they were providing to us, and it was like, we got to go find that money somewhere. Like that sucks.
Yeah. And so on that side, your energy side, like you have, there's no reason. Like sometimes I'll talk to people and say, hey, you could be doing better on your rate, right? Or the energy supplier, or maybe something's different. And that's how I get business on that side. Sometimes we're talking about light bulbs, but I can help them on the energy. But you guys are with a really good supplier. Like I know that supplier. I work with them, and they don't work with too many people, but they'll work with me. And I know that they would have come to talk to you to let you know about this increase, but not every supplier out there is letting their customers know about this increase. It's going to be a surprise come July, of next year. You have a good one, which is great because you're taking action now, and you'll be ready set up for the next year if you're able to bring it down your PLC. And from what I see right now where it's at, I've got a client, they're going from, for that capacity charge, going to go from paying $14,000 a year for just that portion of their electric bill to $85,000. And then, but that's this next year. But then after that, it could be 2 to 3 times higher. So we're talking about, so this is that increase from June of 25 to June of 26. They're going from $14,000 to $85,000. But that next year, it's going to go up even more. So I put together a spreadsheet for them, showing them that if they can bring down that demand, how much power they're using, and it's a calculator that, like, I could share it with you too, but you just change what that PLC, that peak load contribution, how you were measured on those days. If they can find a way to reduce power when there's a large amount of strain on the grid, they can bring that future number down. That's the only control that they have over it. That fee is not going away. It's going to happen. It doesn't matter anything political that could happen with the prices of energy. It's a tariff or a tax that's directly related to the need to improve the grid that you're in. There's nothing we can do about it except for trying to use energy more efficiently. And what I'm talking about is the peak shaving. And I know that they mentioned that to you, but like that component, it's basically that whatever your PLC is, which your PLC might be like 250 K. I think you were at like close to 300 kW for just your average demand, but your PLC could be anywhere, but let's just call it 300 kW. That times the tariff times hours to figure out how much you're going to be charged. Well, they come up with that number, that PLC, based on how much power you were using at the 5 peak hours of the year before. Typically it's on a real hot day, it might be 100 degrees, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, however much power you use there. And the other 4 days, they take an average and say, hey, this is your number. This is your PLC. And then the next year, whatever the new tariff is, that's the number that they're going to use to calculate what your bill is. So by you guys being proactive about that now, you're going to reduce that just naturally. And then if there's anything you can do with your suppliers, really good at it, that I'm sure you can sign up for notifications for them to let you know that, hey, this is probably going to be a measured event. And if you guys can push brooms or do something else or have a barbecue in those couple
Shut the
hours
place down.
to reduce that, yeah, it's only going to benefit you, because I'm sure that they also set you up with a program where they're passing through that capacity tariff. So it gives you the ability to work on that and help that fee. And you're doing really good for just not you and your bill, but just for everybody, because if everybody participates and helps out and cuts back on electricity when it's needed the most, I mean, we don't need to build as much infrastructure. It's a good thing you guys are wrapping your head around it, for sure. Are there other parts of your business that you guys are going to be able to tweak electric?
No, I mean, we have the perfect roof for solar. We've certainly talked about in the past. The problem is, like, we're in the business of sucking down energy, right? Those weld machines going all day long. That is no joke.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one that I see in the manufacturing business. Is everybody's interested in the solar? They want it to work, but it's a hard one. I mean, a lot of guys are running 3 shifts too. The sun's not shining in the middle of the night. And when you have equipment that needs to come on, I mean, you have guys that have furnaces, right? It's got to be there when you need it. But I think that even though, you need that power all the time, but what I'm figuring out with this whole capacity thing is that if you have some solar, and even if you can store some of that energy in batteries and use that during those peak times, and there's a way to make it a revenue stream too, because you can actually end up selling back some of that power during peak times. And there's gotten so sophisticated now that they can actually just tap into that and just fluctuate it and use it. It was 5 years ago actually when I started the energy company. I was doing the LED. I was big on the solar. I wanted to do solar, wanted to have that offer that. And I went through a few exercises with a few different customers and got quotes from several different solar companies. And the quotes were all over the board, by the way, what they predicted of the future cost of energy and how many days of sunshine and everything. And I'm like, this just doesn't pencil out. I don't want to focus on this right now. Everybody wants lighting. Let me pay attention to that. But now I've come full circle and talking to clients, trying to get it involved in them looking at the solar, because I think that there is at least something that it doesn't hurt to at least look at the numbers and see what's there, so that what the opportunity could be if it's not today, what it will be. Keep an eye on it. But
they said it was coming, this whole energy crisis, right? Because the grid's it's old, right? And we just keep demanding more and more. And
well, it's old, and then AI needs power.
look at the data centers that are going up right now, right?
Yeah, huge. Now that's supposedly getting smarter too, and using less energy. So there's hope there. And we've seen this increase though before. This happened back in 2016, 18. We had a huge increase. It went up 5 times and then doubled the following year, and then came back down once everything got worked out. So that's the other part is, you could look at solar and say the prices are going to keep going up. This is going to make sense and to work on me peak load, but I can't say for sure that the prices of electricity is going to keep going up. I mean, we know we need it for this infrastructure, but the actual cost of energy, like for this client, they just locked into their new price, wholesale cost. The cost of energy, their fixed energy portion actually went down $2 or $3 a megawatt hour. It was just the other one that went from $3 to $22, but that doesn't mean that that's going to, it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. But the LED, once again, it lasts longer, it's more reliable, it's better on energy consumption, and we're actually going to have way better lighting than we did before. Like after I did that whole walk around and you were like, well, this is what manufacturing space should have. Like we realized we were low. We were low on lighting, which is going to be so beneficial for everyone in the shop.
It's going to be so beneficial. There was that one area that was over by a window, and it was higher than everything else, like much higher, but that's going to be what it is everywhere.
Yeah, agreed.
It's going to be awesome. That is going to be great. And I think I asked you too about in your office space, you'll have to, when you're over there again, see if you hear anything buzzing. Because you won't have the buzzing of the ballast anymore. And a lot of people get used to it. But like I did one for a parking garage, and everything was yellow and it was loud in there. It was scary. It was like an airport parking place. Like I wouldn't want to park my car there. And when we lit that up with white light and it was just quiet, I mean, you could hear a penny drop.
Yeah.
Feet away.
I didn't think about that. The white noise. It's a good point. Yeah, it's really good. I have lights off in my office all the time. As soon as it gets light enough out, my lights go out. I hate lights.
Yeah, I'm the same way in my house. It's just we don't have very much lighting at all. Like the living room, like the TV is the light.
Yeah. What's your biggest challenge for getting people over the hump with LED solutions?
Timing.
Because of the rebate or upfront cost or what? Because like there's not a lot if you get a decent rebate.
Yeah, there's not always that rebate, and some people want quotes, but it might take them a year before they make that decision that they want to do it. Sometimes it's just they have other things going on. They have other projects they're working on. The lights are still shining. It's not something that they want to do. I think a lot of people have already done the LED and the rebates aren't as strong everywhere. I think that some people are just late to adopting it, and they're still replacing HID tubes. But everybody's, they're coming around. It's very, I don't lose a whole lot. It's more like not right now.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So has sustainability always been important to you, or it just falls in line with the energy sector?
I think that's based on the customer. I mean, I give them the calculations so that they can figure that out, and it's important to some and not as important to others.
Gotcha.
I do like, and we didn't do this with you, but it's always nice to have marketing sometimes involved in these projects because they have green initiatives and they want to be able to, let their customers know, what they've done. And that's something that like even your team could work with. You'll have the calculations of how many kilowatt hours you're saving, and you can put those in calculations online and figure out like how many acres of forest land you're saving, how many cars are taken off the road. So I leave that up to the client, what they want, what that means to them, and how they want to use that information.
Let's see here. What would you consider your leadership style?
I haven't, like you, I haven't been able to be as much of a leader like with a company and have people. I mean, I was a sales manager for a little bit, but it was at the time when I was actually taking over the marketing as well. And I didn't really want to, manage people. I focused on the marketing. That's really what I wanted to do at the time, which is unfair for my work experience that I didn't get an opportunity to really wrap my head around that. I believe that now I have an opportunity to be, I do want to grow the company a little bit. So I'm going to have to, learn how to manage people or have a really good operations, manager to do that. But I have an opportunity to be a thought leader in my space, promote the market, and teach people about different parts of that. And I've had enjoyed quite a bit mentoring a couple of my 2 young adult children. My stepchildren are with us, and I helped my stepdaughter start her wedding hair and makeup business. So that's been a great experience for me from mentorship. I don't know if you would call that a leading. What is it about when you were a project manager before this? So this is I don't know how much leadership you did in that role. This has been new for you, right?
Yeah, I had 2 years where I had probably, I don't know, 15 employees as a manager. None of them, they were all in different states. So it was very remote before remote was a thing.
I mean, you're definitely a good leader.
What's up?
You're definitely a great leader because
I don't know what
I mean, I
great
can
is.
just see it with how responsive your people are. Like they want to like get the information and help you out with the project and help me out. And I mean, you have that many people in your book club. Like, how did you learn that? Did you read or study, or do you think it comes natural?
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody asked me a similar question to that before, and it wasn't books because I didn't start reading till last November. I got to experience a lot of the country when I was working on the road a lot. So I got to see what worked with people and what didn't, even though, like superintendents or project managers, and they said this and people reacted this way. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that, and then being yelled at by clients and the way people treated me. And I think I just kind of tried to gather as much as I could.
What's the feedback you get? I heard that on a podcast too. You went around and like asked people like what would they change? Like what's the feedback that you get from people on how they enjoy being managed by you? What did they say?
Early on, it was uncomfortableness with the amount of flexibility I give people. Like, you know, I'll give people the result I want and then go figure it out, right? Be creative.
Yeah.
And if you have questions, let me know and we'll. So some of that isn't comfortable for everyone, especially because the company was very rigid prior. So that's changed. Remote work, pretty flexible with that. Honestly, I just want people to act like adults, be adults. We are adults. We all know, but you have to have a lot of data. You have to trust people with data, in the sense of everyone's doing their job because we can see metrics that says people are doing their jobs. So you can't just be willy nilly, but I do think you can have flexibility and accountability in the same thing. People to people managing, I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer that.
How do you help your managers be better managers?
Book club.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How? Like, give me an example.
My CEO is in book club, and he thought it was crazy until he came into book club, and he goes, "Now I get it."
Really?
Yeah, I mean it's paradigm shifting, right? It's knowing you're not right, finding win-wins, like all the things leadership books teach you, realizing people have baggage, giving them leeway, getting the full story. All the things everybody says, but actually applying it and caring. Caring's the hard part, I think,
Caring's the hard part for the managers,
for everyone.
everyone. You can really tell when people care.
I think so. Yeah. We're not dumb, right? People aren't dumb.
When I see it, I'll like with my wife and I experience it differently. So like, we need to like make sure we're really, especially nice to that person the next time we see them, or she'll even, we're out somewhere, she'll send a message to their manager. I think wherever we go, I think you have to recognize it and even just thank them, whoever it is. I mean, I have a rep that I work with on the energy side and always there to help me with anything. So, sometimes I'm asking questions at different times that I don't feel like that I'm asking too much sometimes, but they're just there, attentive and positive, and helps me through anything. Like, I love it. I love it when I see that. Those are the people that, I want to be closer to for sure.
No, I agree. Yeah, I just did that. I had a dishwasher I had to get replaced, and the person who installed it was an older gentleman, obviously very knowledgeable. My wife said, like, this was probably the best appliance we've ever had installed. So I called the company up and said, don't know who was at my house, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh no, what happened? I was like, oh no, he was amazing. He was the best person we've ever had. And they're like, oh, we never get these calls. I'm like, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I mean, you hear so many people complaining. It's like when you see it, I mean, you've really got it.
Yeah. I think you have to believe that everybody just really wants to do the best job they can. If you go with that mentality, stuff happens, life happens, everybody's got crap. Will people take advantage sometimes? Sure. But karma's a bitch. And I think that all works itself out. I'm not going to get caught up in that. I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, sorry I couldn't answer your question.
No, I mean, book club, that's a good answer.
It is. It's really incredible. For $310 worth of books, I probably have like a $50,000 leadership collaboration class twice a week.
How much is that? I mean, what would you pay for somebody to come in and do that, right?
A shitload of money for 37 people that meet for a half an hour twice a week and learn more about each other because they speak about a book.
Because they speak about the bow.
We have 6 people who speak every Monday and then every Friday. So we switch it up. I do a random name generator on the internet, and I just pick 6 people, and we keep going down through the list, and then once everybody's gone, we start all over, put everybody back in the bin. And
those people, they go back to their significant other, right? They tell their friends, and that just
I already
makes
had a
them feel good. And
I had a
makes them,
guy two book club meetings that came in and said my wife already thanks me for book club.
oh, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
because it's not just the people at work, right? Sometimes they're having bad days for things I can't even solve.
Yeah. And some of this solves that for them, I imagine, right? Even though they may not talk about it, but something that they
Correct.
read in the book or they heard from somebody else, or somebody else is relating their something in their life to what they've read in the book. They're like, oh gosh, I'm not the only one.
Correct. I think the equation is happy people or efficient people. If I want the most highly efficient company, People need to be the happiest version of themselves. So that's work doesn't piss you off and home is good. There's a lot of baggage in between those two things.
Do you have a lot of people that you need to hire right now? Are you like maxed out or looking for people or?
Kind of always looking for people. We're really busy right now, so we've been hiring a lot, but it's not a problem like it used to be. The CTC schools are exploding. Welding classes are exploding. We're getting lots of kids out of school. We used to hire 10 and keep 5. Now we hire 10 and mostly keep 10 because people are coming in and wanting to do this for their career. It's amazing.
Yeah. My 2 young adults got their degrees in Jason Aviation and Page at the Career Center for Hair. And they ready to work, like ready to use the skills and get to work.
Yeah, they're hungry.
They are.
I love it. And they're hungry for leadership. There's a gap of people who are afraid to step up, but this generation coming up now, they want it. They want the responsibility. At least what I've seen.
And they're learning the right things in these schools. They're coming in and ready to like weld and do.
I mean, not hit the ground, but they're open-minded, willing to listen, willing to learn. Yeah, half of that's just showing up with the right mindset. But they come with all those skills. They're not coming and saying, I know how to do everything.
And because you have the culture there, they're inviting their friends, right?
Yeah. Not all. We have people leave just like everybody else, but like last year we had a 12% turnover rate. Manufacturing in 2023 was 33, I think. Attrition's a big thing for me. I don't think you can move forward if you keep losing people.
Do you have big projects for this year set up or still?
Yeah. Yeah, we have a really big backlog for multiple departments right now. So things kind of explode in like November. I think once everybody figured out the election and started spending money again, then it was like rocket ship.
Anything big changes in your company this year that you anticipate?
Not right now. We did an ERP change last year, which is huge for us. So we updated our ERP, which touches everything: purchasing, accounting, time, project, cost, you name it. It's just involved in anything. So we kicked that off in August, went really smooth. So we were happy with that. So, big thing for us is more efficiency, new incentive program I'm working through this year to hopefully implement next year. And that's major changes for us.
Your customers, I think I touched on all the questions that I had, but your customers, what do they like about, what's your feedback as far as what do they like about working with you guys?
They don't have to babysit us.
So they know what they want. You know what they want and you get it done.
Correct. And we deliver what they ask for in a higher quality than what they expected. But we're also not the cheapest. We never will be. But we know that. We know who we are. Agreed.
That's the clients you want that can appreciate that and
Correct.
are willing to pay for it. Yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah. Yeah, transactional, we're not good with because we'll never be those people. But our people are higher quality. So you have to pay those people more, period. That's all your questions? I nailed them?
Yeah, you nailed them.
So those of you who don't know, Doug told me before this, he's like, can I bring my own questions? And I was like, okay, sure, let's do it.
Okay, so I got the only other question I had here, and I was kind of going with it's like, you look at the energy, whether you're a manufacturer in your space it's a cost thing, right? I mean, it's not like it doesn't help you build things better, really.
Unless it's dirty energy, right? And then it messes with our welding machines and can affect product. We've had that problem.
But as long as you can plug in your equipment and it powers up, as long as it doesn't go out,
no, it's an expense.
It's just a bill that you pay.
Yes.
You look at Tony Gunn doing this CNC and these shows and everything. Like, if I was to dig more about energy and helping manufacturers with their energy and talking more about it, maybe doing a podcast and interviews, what would be interesting? Because it's just kind of a cost. What topics in energy would be interested to you?
I would ask ChatGPT. Whenever I
already did.
Okay. How'd it go?
He says they would not find it as interesting as Tony Gunn's, but you could do this and that and this, and it would.
At least it
be
was
more
honest.
interesting, right? And I'm like, well, who would this be interested into? Well, other people in the energy business. I'm like, okay, well, I suppose.
I
But
think it would be, if you're talking about energy, it'd be interesting to hear the insider scoop of why this is all happening, right? Why are we talking about peak? Why are we getting charged more for peak? Like that whole dive into all the stuff you already know to explain it in layman's terms, because we all know our bill's going up, but we're not sure why. We're just bitching about it.
yeah, I've been surprised that I haven't actually had too many customers that have complained about it. They haven't said, oh my God. They're just like, what's the damage? What's it going to be?
Anytime I go down that road where I'm not sure, I'm going right to AI and asking. I don't mess around anymore. I'm almost not afraid of anything because of that anymore. It's a little scary.
What do you mean you're because you can ask ChatGPT, like you're using ChatGPT the way that I used it, but not everybody's using it that way. Like you ask it questions.
It's my expert on everything. I probably have 35 open threads right now just for ideas or processing through an idea, or a medical expert, a handyman expert, you name it. Anything I can't solve myself.
It's like a super weapon, isn't it?
Yes. Whenever you think you need to talk to somebody who's an expert, you already have one. Just type it or talk into your phone.
I mean, like this is that's all being recorded, right? Like all that information, all these questions you're asking
Yeah.
it.
So it's getting smarter.
It is getting smarter.
Correct. The longer you talk to it, the better it is. Just don't cross streams, right? That's the hardest part. Don't talk about marketing on your LinkedIn and growing your personal brand and then switching over to how do I fix my toilet. Don't do that. Just make a new thread.
Right. Yes.
That's it. That's the only rule.
Yeah.
Tell it what it is and ask a question, and then just keep having a conversation until you get to what you think is right.
I don't think everybody. Have you seen people using it like to write LinkedIn posts?
Mm-hmm. I do.
A little bit, but it's annoying when they do, like they don't edit or anything, and
Yeah, it sounds robotic.
It's very flowery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it likes emojis.
Yeah, does it like emojis, or you have to say, "Give me emojis"?
It does for mine, but I think it's because that's my style when I plugged in like previous posts. Like I like accenting, because you can't put bullets in LinkedIn, which is annoying. So like you got to accent it with things.
See, I can be kind of long-winded in my writing, so it's
Make
nice to be
this
able to.
concise.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to throw it in there and say, "Hey, knock this down to like 700 words. Make it simple." And somebody seventh grade reading level, it does a really good job.
It does a really good job at pulling really important things out of transcripts too. So if you like the podcast transcript, like I could take this entire thing and tell me the 3 most influential things that came out of that conversation. I could send that to you, or an audio version, a conference call, you name it.
How much content are you putting out social? Are you just on LinkedIn, or are you at a lot of other places? Where else are you?
I have 3 active YouTube channels, this LinkedIn. I have Instagram, but just to have it. I don't really put stuff. I can't keep up with all of them.
Do you have a goal per week on how much you want to put out there?
6 posts on LinkedIn, so Monday through Saturday. And then YouTube stuff. One's a travel channel, so only when I travel, I have content to do around that. And then my gaming stuff, I probably put out 1 video a week, and then 1 podcast a week.
What's your schedule on working on all this stuff? Is it kind of your thing that you do in the evening after you're with the kids and the family, and it's kind of like a late night thing for you, or
No.
just throughout the day?
With AI, editing's not hard. It's gotten a lot faster. I think the longest videos are my travel videos. They take the longest because I get so much B-roll when we're on vacation. So putting those together takes the longest amount of time. Everything else is pretty quick. Have it down to a science now. Like I'm a very process-driven person, so I build processes to find that efficiency, so it's fast.
I mean, there's no editing to do on a podcast.
No, this is all done in Riverside. It's actually the easiest part of doing this is the back end stuff. Hardest part's finding guests.
Yeah, those travel blogs got to be.
Yeah, they're long. Mostly it's because you're having narration and then you're popping B-roll clips over your narration to show people what you're talking about. So you have to organize all the clips into sections and match them up with your script, all that kind of stuff. That takes a while.
I've done it just a little bit. I mean, I do different editors, and I want to do more. Like I've used Veed has really been found very easy to use for me. But I know there's some programs out there that now that you can like plug in a bunch of B-roll that you have, or it uses its own B-roll too, and just do this kind of like AI auto miracle stuff, and it like flashes the B-roll in there. Have you messed around with any of that?
No. The reason I don't is because I think not looking AI is going to be the future. People are going to want real, shaky, a little bit blurry, human made. I can tell Brandon was at that location because, like, he's in the video, right? Everybody can make travel videos. They can just type into Midjourney and say, Italy, whatever. I want like me tripping over a step, like taking video and be like, okay, this is real. It's a human being. So everybody's an expert now.
But what do you think about this whole talk about these fake profiles and these AI profiles and these like they're saying that there will be soon, who knows, there could be right now some influencers that are 100% AI.
Sure. I don't think you can determine what's true anymore. That's what's scary.
But I mean, can't you? I mean, you think it's difficult with everything, or you think once you're following and paying attention to somebody for a little while, I mean, do you think you can tell still?
I think it's pretty good. It's only
Pretty
going to get
good.
better. Well, we're deep down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love AI. I know you use it quite a bit. I love using it for making long processes really short. It's my favorite thing. Just saves a lot of time.
It does. It does for sure.
So, anything else on energy, yourself, any promotion, any future things that you'd like to close this out with?
The only so the LED manufacturing facilities, I'm really good at it. That's what my main focus is. I like it for
Agreed.
so many different reasons. On the energy side, I've been pushing away from brokering energy, helping clients team them up with suppliers. And really, I have clients, really good clients, but I'm not really looking for new clients in that space because I want instead of because when you're a broker, you're really selling the energy to the customer, right? You're showing them a list of 10 different suppliers and different products and everything. And even though that you're helping them, right? You're getting paid by that supplier
Mm-hmm.
commission, residual commission per kilowatt hour or whatever. And I have a couple clients now that I'm working on the other side where they pay me as a consultant and I
Nice.
sit on their side of the table. We interview these suppliers together. They pay me. The supplier does not pay me. And I've found that a much more enjoyable way to do business.
Partnership.
It is a partnership. And so I can do that with supply, but now I'm really looking for anybody that wants to bring me in on other solutions like solar, wind, batteries, anything that, and I'm not going to even charge too terribly much for it. Like, let me be involved. You want to explore this, hire me on. So your plant engineer or somebody they can keep working on their thing, bring me in to look through all this and bird dog this and find you opportunities and people for you to talk to. And because I've been on the sales side too, I can weed through it and say, hey, you don't want to talk to these guys, and these guys aren't telling you the truth. And, I can dig in for the client to a supplier and really bear down and make sure that the customer gets a good deal. So that's on that energy side. For the last 6 months, I've been trying to wrap my head exactly what I want to do on that space, but that's what I want to do. That's where
Love
I'm
that.
at with that. So
Cool.
if you know anybody or has any interest in some or sort of other kind of energy, it could be energy supply or it could be, hey, I've been thinking about solar or batteries. Love to work with.
Yeah, I mean, if we start down that road, I'll definitely be giving you a call because, it's going to be someone's job. And you're right. We may not have somebody with the bandwidth who can do a half-ass job because it's a big expense.
Yeah, it takes time away from them. And then, I mean, you have to learn it.
Yeah,
Right?
correct.
And it would be somebody, though, like, for instance, for you, there would be somebody on your team that I would work with, just compliment them. Ultimately, when I do these consulting, like the customer's decision, like I just give it all the information and process it for them so that they can make an educated decision. At the end of the day, they choose. I don't. I try to even not even make a recommendation. Like this is what you
Here's the
got.
facts.
Yeah, like if they decide to do something, because I mean, so much of this stuff in the energy world, like you don't know how it's all going to work out at the end of the day. Like you just got to make your best educated decision on what makes sense for your company and you know, where you guys want to go. That's yeah. So that's it. That's all I have to talk about. This is this typically how these sessions go down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This was relaxed. I enjoyed this one actually. Usually I'm a lot more rigid, but your questions allowed me to fluctuate my process because I get too stuck on. So thank you for that. It's helpful.
I was afraid I was going to have nothing to talk about, and I wasn't going to.
No, of course.
I was going
My
to
job
ask
to make sure you
questions that
do.
you wouldn't answer.
This was very fun. Thank you for coming on. Not everybody says yes. So thank you for that. Thank you for your help with the LED. And we're working through that process now. I will certainly let you know because I have a couple people I'm thinking of with the consultancy thing. If they're going to be going down certain roads, I will let you know and point them in your direction.
Sounds good, Brandon. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.